speaks the language that we're about to talk about, the language of mental health. It is a time to be concerned about it. We're seeing unusual behavior in so many places. And then I would put it to you that we're seeing abnormal behavior that is being normalized. And so it's getting hard to tell the difference, it seems to me. Where do we draw the line? Miss Virginia Manning, this seems to be your area of specialty. So what are we doing? What's going on here? What's going on in our society that requires the services of someone like you? And by someone like you, I mean
a mental health therapist, yes, in the Houston community. So it goes to what you just said about normalizing mental wellness or whatever, that people really don't want to get their mental wellness checked. Because today, as a mental health therapist, well, let me introduce myself. I'm Virginia Manning. I'm a mental health therapist, been licensed since 2011, have a Gen Man Consulting and Counseling Associates in Houston, Texas, and also in my hometown, Beaumont, Texas. But mental health is important. And today, what I'm going to share with you and your audience are 3 myths that people have about mental wellness and about therapy. And so I want to share those things because people, they feel like because of these common myths, they don't get treatment. They think that mental health is taboo, stigmatized, and so they don't seek treatment. So the first myth, which is very, very important, because once again, this is why people feel like they don't have a need to seek mental help, right, for a therapist or a psychiatrist, is that people think that people in therapy have severe mental health issues, right? And that key word is severe. People think that if I see a therapist, if I acknowledge I have some mental health symptoms, that it's going to be diagnosed as severe. Meaning, the stigma that we have today in society that people are crazy if they have some mental health symptoms, right? And so mental health symptoms are fairly common. Everybody does not have severe mental health. Severe as in severe depression, severe anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar. Those are the more severe types of mental health, right? But we have to address the ones that are more common because most of us have the ones that are more common. And so a statistic that I pulled from NAMI, and NAMI is a great association. If people want more education about mental wellness, they need to look into the organization called NAMI.
And NAMI is an acronym for what?
NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness. It's a great organization. They have free trainings, free classes for people who have family members with mental health issues and other people who want more education about mental wellness.
Okay, very good.
And so the statistic says that 5.5% of U.S. adults experienced serious mental illness in 2021. So severe and serious is only 5.5%. So the rest of us, right? That's astonishing, right? For the severe, right? But for the most of us, we have those other common symptoms of depression, sadness, overwhelm. Those things are more common, right?
Right, that's right.
Right? But you still can seek mental health therapy and assistance to even address those issues so that they don't become severe.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Someone to help you navigate that.
When it's kind of low level, those symptoms are pretty low level, right? You have low level, moderate, and severe. Most people think that those low levels automatically place them in the severe category, and that's not true. And so they feel like, if I go to the therapist, this must be severe, and I don't want people to think that I have these severe mental health issues.
But isn't it also true? It's sort of obvious, but like so many things now, you can't take for granted anything now. But when you don't go to see it at the low level and you're still making decisions and you're carrying on as though, because you think you've compartmentalized it, and so you put it in a box over there, but meanwhile you're making decisions, aren't you? That's affecting the decisions that you make. I mean, now your condition is affecting your
decisions, right?
And so now you're making decisions with that weight on you, and you make decisions maybe that you wouldn't ordinarily make, right?
Exactly. Then when you don't get those low-level symptoms addressed, they accumulate.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with life, and you continue,
right?
And every day, that's just life. You have stressors every day, right?
Right.
If you don't deal with those stressors head on every day, They accumulate and they accumulate and they accumulate to where you do get to a point where it does feel severe instead of dealing with things every day. And some people see therapists on a weekly basis, especially if your symptoms are so, severe. And then as you see a therapist, it helps to bring down those symptoms so that they become low level, moderate, to where you probably only see a therapist once a month. Then you might see a therapist quarterly. But the key is to address it as it comes.
Now, what is the therapist's job? What do they provide when someone walks in and says, "Okay, look, I've been feeling." Now, do they get referred by someone? Do they take it upon themselves to go in? Do they need a prior diagnosis?
It could be either one. Either, like sometimes if you go to your PCP, they'll give you a slight diagnosis. Your primary care physician, they'll probably ask you some questions about how have you been feeling? Have you been sad? You been, right? They do that little initial diagnosis, right? And then once they scale it and from that assessment, they'll be like, oh, okay, these symptoms are a little, more than normal. Maybe you should seek the help of a therapist, and they can refer you that way. Or you could be a diligent steward of your mental wellness.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And go see a therapist yourself. Right?
Proactive.
Most people have insurance. You can call the number on the back of your insurance card and say, hey, can you refer me to a therapist that's in network with my insurance and that's in my area?
Well, my answer generally to those questions is do you have anything that worries you? That's the only pain about this bill, Doc. Now, is that going to drive me insane? Is that going to be a problem for me?
Right.
So I said, let's get that out of the way. Don't make matters worse for me. But when you're looking for a
mental health therapist,
mental health therapist, what guidelines? What should a person be looking for?
That's a great question, because that has a lot to do with if people continue therapy or if they even seek therapy initially because they need a therapist that they can identify with, which is actually one of my other myths, right? People think that, therapy is so taboo or that it's a mark of shame or a mark of weakness because they probably go to someone they can identify with their cultural needs, their personal needs, their ethnic needs. All of those things are important. And it's not being biased or anything like that. It's just finding someone that matches your needs so that you feel comfortable in your mental health sessions, right? So some people do request people of their same ethnicity, right? Some people want African American. If you're an African American, some people want women if they're a woman. Some people want men if they're a man. Some if they're gay, lesbian, those different demographics. So you can ask for a specific type of therapist so that you can get your needs met, so you can feel comfortable. You don't have to be in a state of feeling of shame, and you don't view it as a weakness because that's somebody that you can identify with as well.
Good point, because I want to ask you, so how do you, in a general sense, I'm asking this question, I don't know that there's a standard treatment that you do, but I mean, generally speaking, if we can, how do you advise people? You advise people how to interact with people who are hostile to them. Speaking now of the LGBTQ and other people who are marginalized, and some people are marginalized in a different way than others. In some people, it is really true; they're just marginalized and pushed to the side. But in other people, you see it done so that it's front and center. It's not even on the margins anymore. People actively dislike them. They actively ban them. We see legislation passed.
Right.
Now, how do you teach those people to interact with people who dislike them?
Right. So the key is to find a therapist, once again, that matches your needs. Now, when you're a therapist and you're probably in network with an insurance, or if you have a website or anything where you promote yourself, a lot of times that website or the insurance company or whoever refers you will let you know that person has a specialty. most of us have our specialty, our niches, right?
Okay.
The things that we like to address the most.
Right.
Some people specialize in LGBTQ communities.
Okay.
You can
Okay.
ask for that, right? You have a right to ask for the specific type of therapist that you feel comfortable with so that you can get your needs met at the best and most optimal level possible. So you can ask for LGBTQ. Once again, you can ask for African American. You can ask for a Spanish speaking therapist. You can ask for whatever it is that makes you feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You have the right to ask for that specific demographic.
With 1230 The Source, I am speaking with Ms. Virginia Manning, and she has specialty. She has counseling. I started to say specialty counseling, consultancy, and on mental health issues. What brought you to this?
Well, you know, it's a little personal for me. It's a lot personal. My why. Right, so my mom had severe mental health issues, and she completed. I hope everyone knows what's completed. If not, I'll tell you in a minute. She completed in 1994 on her third attempt.
Okay.
Right, so these days we like to use the word completed, instead of saying suicide. So she committed suicide in 1994 off her own psychotropic medications.
I never knew that.
Yeah, that she was getting from a therapist.
I never knew that. Completed was such a term.
It's a term. You know, they don't like to say killed themselves
Yeah.
or suicide. They like to use the word completed. So she completed on her third attempt off of her own psychotropic medications that she was prescribed from her psychiatrist. Now, the key to that factor, which is another myth, is that she was seeing a psychiatrist receiving psychotropic medications. But best practices is if you see a psychiatrist, you should also see a therapist.
Okay.
Most people think a psychiatrist is a therapist because they ask you, how you doing? How's things going? But that's just to kind of gauge the medications that they give you.
Okay.
But a therapist will help you target those real life situations that's causing the symptoms. If it's overwhelmed from work, whether it's toxic relationships, are you sad or depressed, or under any other type of stressor, you go to a psychiatrist. They'll give you medications, help you calm those symptoms, whether it's heart palpitations, can't sleep at night, whatever your symptom is, that's the psychiatrist. And most psychiatrists do this. They will refer you to a therapist as well, which is best practices. Some of them do, some of them don't. But having a psychiatrist with medications and a therapist that helps you with the life issues that's causing the symptoms is the best practice. And most people think that psychotropic, which is another myth, is they think that if they get the psychotropic medications and their symptoms are calm, right? So they think they're better.
Right.
But it's just that the medications, the chemicals, and the
Yeah.
rebalancing and everything that the medications do calms those symptoms. So they're like, oh, I'm well, I'm better.
And isn't this? I have some familiarity with this. Isn't this the time when you have to be most watchful, most attentive? Sometimes, right? Because
Correct.
That it's sometimes I understand it's just.
Like a false perception
yeah,
that you're okay,
yeah.
but you really you still had that life situation. And the reason why a lot of times people become addicted to their psychotropic medications or use them inappropriately or have to increase their dosages is because you still have your problem. So the medications seem like they're not working anymore after a while because the problem has escalated and your symptoms escalate. Instead of using the medications to calm your symptoms, you can function better, you can think more clearly, and you activate some coping strategies or whatever else you need to help you in your life to help you decrease those symptoms so you don't be totally dependent on those psychotropic medications.
Now, this is fascinating to me. This got my attention when I first found out about it. A person could be just during the time you think they're doing better. It's just that before, when they were in that, they were so depressed, right?
Right.
They didn't even have the energy to commit harm to themselves. But things are going well and they feel
better, right. And most of it when they have the psychotropic medication. Everything we're talking about is, some people experience these things and some people don't, right? But we kind of just talking about mostly the most common things and some of the norms and some of the things that we've normalized that keep us from getting the full treatment that we need for our mental wellness. And mental wellness equals success, right? Mental health. If you have good mental health, good mental wellness, people, they're starting to respect it more in the society and
Yes,
the community
yeah.
and with legislation and everything,
yes.
to recognize that mental health is just as important as your physical health because they're connected.
Are you seeing more attention given to just the same things we're talking about when it comes to pairing people in these programs that come down from the county government or state government? Is more attention being paid now to trying to make the match fit closer to the person's everyday reality? For instance, black people, it can be safely said, may have different needs,
Right.
different mental needs, different stressors. If you will,
Exactly,
right?
different
And
stressors.
white people may have another stress, and Latinos another, and so on and so on.
Exactly,
And the
exactly.
Asian community, which has its problems too.
Right.
Do you get involved in these programs that they are holding? Do these people come to you, or you do an individual practice? How does that work?
I'm in private practice, so I'm in network with some insurance companies. I have a couple of grants or whatever that from the state or whatever, and so, but from the insurances specifically. When you apply to be in network with the insurance, they ask you all of these things. What's your modality of therapy? Mine's, I do a lot of CBT and motivational therapy. Some people do the cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay.
Where we work through your thought patterns,
Yes,
your
okay.
emotions and everything. And some people, they have their other different modalities. So when you call your insurance company or however you being referred for mental wellness or mental health therapy, they have those demographics from the therapist, so they can match you better. African American, Asian, and those things are important, right? Don't feel some type of way because you're asking for a specific race or whatever. That's what it's
real.
there for.
Right, yeah.
Like you say, you need people who know your culture, right? Because everyone has their specific taboos about mental health in their cultures, and you need someone that can help you address your specific taboos so that you can get the best mental care that you need.
So there's no time to be a shrinking ballad. That's the
that's why you have to have those niche, really, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
Even though I don't turn anybody, around, but basically it's like they kind of, they go on your website, they look at you, they see who you are, and so they basically kind of match themselves sometime to you.
When we come back, we're talking with Miss Virginia Manning, and she